Now, my experience with the second of Dr. Gene Cohen's 4 stages, the liberation stage, occurred later in 2007 when I retired from a 39-year career in the computer data storage industry to write full-time. Now, I may be a slow learner. I wasn't that good an English student in high school and college, but over the course of a business career, I learned how to put a sentence together. And you might even say I learned a little bit about fiction writing because I used to write press releases. So let me give you my recommendations on aging. Number 1, do it. The only thing worse than growing old is to be denied the privilege. Number 2, have friends and companions along the way. Friendships like you make in this Rotary Club are extremely important. Number 3, stay involved, whether it's volunteering, writing, painting, nagging your children. As they say, getting old is a time when you're too old to take advice, but still young enough to give it. Now, in addition to my writing, I'm involved in volunteer activities associated with topics of aging. In Boulder County, where I reside, I'm on the Countywide Leadership Council, where we promote a positive image of aging. And I'm also on the Aging Advisory Council, where we review funding requests from organizations providing services to seniors. My 4th recommendation on aging is to exercise. Exercise is extremely important, both for the body and the mind. So find something that's appropriate for your physical condition that you enjoy doing. One of the things I like is walking. And several years ago, I started walking with walking poles, also called Nordic walking. How many of you have tried using walking poles? Okay, good number of you. It's a wonderful form of exercise because it gives you an upper body workout as well as your legs. 3 years ago, I had hip replacement surgery, and I find with the walking poles, it takes stress off of my hip and knee joints. And it also helps with balance. I can remember one time coming down a hiking trail before I was using walking poles and suddenly finding myself face down in the dirt. It happened so quickly I didn't even have a chance to get my hands up. But since using walking poles, I have not done another face plant. It's also estimated that when using walking poles, you burn off about 20% more calories. And speaking of calories, who here has heard of the South Beach diet? Okay, most of you have. One of those diets with a list of things to eat and things to avoid. But who has heard of the North Woods diet? As opposed to the South Beach diet, the North Woods diet is very simple. 2 elements to it. Eat less, exercise more. My 5th recommendation on aging is to take naps. We all need enough rest as we get older, and nothing wrong with a nap. In fact, my favorite bumper sticker is one that reads, "Consciousness, that confusing time between naps." And my 6th and final recommendation on aging is to set your priorities. Determine where you're going to put your time and energy. And here's a little exercise I use that you might find helpful in indicating what's important to you. And the way it works is you have 10 points to allocate among 4 categories. And the categories are activities, something like golf. 2nd, relationships, time you would spend with friends and family. 3rd is ideas, maybe time you would spend reading, writing, doing research. And 4th is things, time shopping for furniture or clothes. When I do this exercise, I put 4 points into activities. I'm a project kind of person. I always have a dozen projects going on. Then I put 3 points into relationships because friends and family are important to me. Being a writer, I'm always exploring new ideas, so I put 3 points into ideas, which leaves 0 points for things. If I never went into another store the rest of my life to buy anything, I'd be perfectly happy. There. Now, in my writing, I deal with a number of different topics. Being a mystery writer, there's always a dead body or a murder that takes place. But from what I've discussed so far, what do you think the number 1 theme is I write about? Wisdom is part of it. Aging, right. Getting older. So the wisdom is a part of that aging. A second theme I write about is short-term memory loss. It's estimated in the United States that over the age of 65, about 5% of us have severe short-term memory loss, and about 10% have some symptoms. But by the age of 85, about half of us will have some indication of short-term memory loss. In my book, my main character, Paul Jacobson, suffers from short-term memory loss. He's a crotchety gentleman in his mid-80s, and although he can't remember the day before, he becomes an amateur sleuth and even has a romance with a young chick in her 70s. So if you meet someone like Paul with short-term memory loss, you only have a second, third, or fourth chance to make a good first impression. A third theme I write about is relationships. As we get older, we can still participate in love and romance. It's just that we may need to use some of our wisdom to pull it off successfully. And a fourth theme I write about are different living arrangements. My first book, Retirement Homes or Murder, takes place in a retirement community. And as most of you know, a retirement community is an independent living facility, not to be confused with assisted living or a nursing home with around-the-clock nursing care. In my second book, my main character, Paul Jacobson, moves from Hawaii to Colorado to live with his son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter. And he gets into all kinds of trouble here. And this book is titled, Living with Your Kids is Murder. And my favorite review about this book is one from Kirkus Review, who states in talking about Paul and his 12-year-old granddaughter, who helps him solve a whole list of crimes, it's hard to beat a team that includes a wisecracking old fart and a straight-talking young sprout. So that's Paul and Jennifer. Now, I'm often asked where ideas come from for my characters. So let me tell you a little bit of the genesis of Paul Jacobson, my protagonist. My stepdad had short-term memory loss, and that's where the idea came from for Paul to have short-term memory loss. My natural father was a punster, so Paul tells puns. I hate taking pills, and Paul has inherited that characteristic from me. But beyond that, everything else is unique to Paul. He likes to cuss. He hates lawyers. How many lawyers in the room? Although he has an experience in book one because he sits down at a table and discovers his table mate is a retired judge and lawyer, and they become best friends. Also, Paul detests going in the ocean, although in book one he lives in Hawaii. And he doesn't want to have anything to do with computers. So no email, MySpace, YouTube, instant messaging, or blogging for Paul. But as you get to know him, you find out he isn't the curmudgeon he at first appears to be. He's kind of like a fritter, crusty on the outside and warm inside. So when I write a character, I may use snippets of things from people I know, but the vast majority is just what seems right for that character. So let me give you Paul Jacobson's list of how you can tell you're getting older. You know you're getting older when you spend more time reading the obituaries than the front page. Now, this may become academic because, unfortunately, newspapers like the Rocky Mountain News have gone out of business. And this is a real shame. I love nothing better than sitting down in the morning with a glass of orange juice and a bowl of cereal and reading the morning paper. But the next generation does not share this love of newspapers. Neither of my two youngest kids even subscribes to a newspaper. They get their news off of television and the internet. You know you're getting older when you spend more time trimming your ears and your nose than the top of your head. You know you're getting older when you wake up in the morning and something hurts and you have no clue what caused it. You know you're getting older when you keep telling the same story over and over again, but the people your age don't notice any difference. You know you're getting older when the highlight of your day is taking a nap. You know you're getting older when the small print really is. You know you're getting older when it's easier to pop your joints than a Pop-Top.